Hey guys, Huck Sports Cards here. Hope everybody's having a blessed morning. Well guys, it's the first Saturday in May, and if you live in Kentucky, you know what that means. That means it's Kentucky Derby Day. So usually, anybody who lives around the Louisville area, Lexington area and stuff like that, that's basically considered horse country. So today on this episode, I want to talk about the Kentucky Derby, and I want to show you some of my dad's memorabilia and just tell you a little story about my dad. My dad, back in 1953, worked at Churchill Downs and he walked horses. We did this for a little while, and one of the horses that he walked was a horse named Money Broker, and that horse in 1953 won the Florida Derby, and it ran in the Kentucky Derby. And I think that's where my dad got his love for horse racing, because he had a chance to walk a horse that was in the Kentucky Derby and everything like that, and he had a love for horses after that, and he had a love of gambling on horses after that. But yeah, so like I said, it was in 1953. Well, unfortunately, Money Broker, when it ran in the Kentucky Derby, it came in 8th place out of 11 horses. So nowadays they have 20 horses usually in the race, but back then there wasn't as many that got in the race. But yeah, so my dad, that's where he got his love for horse racing, was, just walking the horses at Churchill Downs and stuff like that. He was a young man then. That was a good job for him. So what I want to do today, I want to show you some of his memorabilia about the Kentucky Derby, just some of his stuff that he just loved, and some of the programs that he kept over the years. So guys, let's go take a look at it now. All right guys, well, this first piece of memorabilia that I want to show you is of my dad's favorite jockey, Pat Day. And this was to celebrate his 7,000th victory. And they had some posters that they gave out at Churchill Downs. And my dad got Pat Day to sign it. One thing about Pat Day, he was just such a gracious man and very humble man. He would always, talk to people and stuff like that. He never thought he was better than anybody else. He was just a really good guy. Really enjoyed talking to him over the years as well. So yeah, this is just one of the memorabilia pieces my dad has of him signing it. Now he won 8,803 horse races, but this was just commemorating his 7,000th victory. Well, that Pat Day piece is definitely my favorite of my dad's, with Pat Day's autograph on there, but this would probably have to be my second favorite, because it's kind of cool, the $2 bill. And some of you may not know what this means, but I would say most of you do. If you've ever been to a racetrack, when you bet on a race, you usually bet $2. Now you can bet $1 on like trifectas and superfectas, but if you're just betting a race to win, place, or show, then you're betting $2. And this piece right here, from 1977, this is a Seattle Slew, and it's just kind of cool with the $2 bill in there. Now, Seattle Slew ended up winning the Triple Crown. And if some of you don't know what the Triple Crown is, that's when a horse wins the Kentucky Derby, then it wins the Preakness, then it wins the Belmont. So, but yeah, this piece is probably, like I said, my second favorite piece of my dad's. I just thought it was cool when I was a kid growing up. Here it had this little $2 bill hanging on the wall. All right, guys, before we get to the rest of the memorabilia stuff, I just want to tell you a story about my dad and about Churchill Downs. And so when me and my sister, my oldest sister, were little, we used to go out to Churchill Downs with my dad. And this was in the mid-70s to early 80s and stuff. And we would go out there with him. Well, I remember this one time we went out there with him, and he asked me and Michelle if we wanted to place a bet. And we were both little, but we thought, oh yeah, this is gonna be cool. So what my dad did was he had us bet the daily double. He had my sister bet the first race, and had me bet the second. So my sister picked a horse for the first race. I picked a horse for the second. So my dad went up there and placed a $2 bet on the daily double. And lo and behold, both our horses won. And I remember looking up at the tote board and seeing $200. I can't remember, it was like $208 or whatever it was, something like that. But I remember seeing the $200 because both our horses were like long shots. And so it won that much money. But I remember me and my sister never getting any of that money. But I do remember my dad saying, come on guys, we're gonna take you over and get you some vanilla ice cream, because Churchill Downs had the best vanilla ice cream in cones. So me and my sister got that, but we never got any of that money. So that's just a story about my dad never giving us that $200. All right guys, here's just some of the programs that my dad had stored away. And now this first one, as you could see, is the 100th running of the Kentucky Oaks. And if you guys don't know that, the Kentucky Oaks are run on the Friday before the Kentucky Derby, which is always the first Saturday in May. And the Kentucky Oaks is where the fillies run. That's the female horses. So the fillies run in their race. Now, a filly can run in the Kentucky Derby if the owner chooses to enter her in the Derby or whatever, but they have their own day on Friday before the Derby though. And so that used to be a really big day for, like, the local people would go out there to the Kentucky Oaks. But then you know, now that's become really big for people across all the United States. They'll fly in or whatever, and they'll go to Kentucky Oaks and Kentucky Derby. So now they have, for a lot of locals, they go on the Thursday, they have racing, and they call it Thurby. So it's kind of funny. It's on a Thursday, and they call it Thurby. But yeah, but here's just some of the programs that he had. As you can see, that one's from 1974 right there. And then you got one from 1980, 82. And they kind of just go up, you know, the 101st running, 112th, kind of like that and everything. So he had them all the way up from, you know, 13, 14, 15, 16, just kind of on and on. And here's just a cool picture that used to hang on my dad's wall at my mom and dad's house, Secretariat. And obviously most everybody knows who Secretariat is. Triple Crown winner from 1973. So yeah, my dad just really loved this horse and everything. So this was hanging on his wall, along with this cool little card, being that this is a sports card YouTube channel. Here's a sports card. My dad had this little Secretariat 1973 card. I don't know when this was actually made though, but he had that hanging on his wall, along with this picture. So like I said, he was just a big Secretariat fan. And I don't know if most of y'all know this, but the nickname for Secretariat was Big Red. Well guys, that's just a little taste of why I like the Kentucky Derby, and the first Saturday of May is important around here. But guys, I appreciate you watching today. I've got a lot of good shows coming up. I've got one of my PSA orders will probably be coming back next week, and it had 84 cards in it. So I'm looking forward to showing that. It has a ton of 1958s, 59s, 71s, I think 72, 73s, 74s maybe in that. But like I said, there's about 84 cards in there. So I'm probably going to do about 3 or 4 PSA reveals there, break it down into a few videos. It'd be tough to show all 84 cards in there. But and also it's the month of May, so like I said, Derby is on the first Saturday of May, but then the Indianapolis 500 is Memorial Weekend, and so I'll be going up there, and I'm gonna be showing a lot of footage from that. And we'll be going up for a couple weeks before that, going into the garage area and meeting some of the drivers and everything, and I'm gonna take a lot of footage of that also. So guys, stay tuned to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, I ask that you do so. There's going to be a lot of good footage of just a lot of different stuff going on. So guys, until next time, we'll see you later.